slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast. I could roast, I could gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're worth my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior. Inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words you can say.
Times don't last. Tough people.
This morning, I am interviewing a very interesting person who became lately the talk of Kuwait and the GCC countries. My guest is YASER ALBAHRI, a Kuwaiti who spent 15 years in US prison. Welcome with me, Mr. YASER ALBAHRI. Hello, Yasser,
hey.
And welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Okay. Yasser, tell the audience about what happened to you in a brief way.
Well, you know, the beginning, the middle, and the end. It's a very long story, but
yeah.
You know, I'm going to tell you a very brief thing about the end.
Okay.
I just got out of prison, Florida prison, where I did 13 years in prison for a crime I did not commit. I was a PhD student at Florida State University, and at the same time, I was a business owner. I ran a few shops, especially a place called Cafe Shisha in Tallahassee, the capital of Florida. And while I was there, I was making a lot of money, and I was going to school at the same time. And I also was, you know, married with children. And things were going well for me till this nightmare started, and it never ended till 90 days ago.
Wow. Did it really turn your life upside down?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, to the max.
You have published your book while you were there.
Yes.
It's about your story behind the barbed wires.
Yes.
In addition to a series of videos on your YouTube channel. What is the purpose of publishing your story?
Well, you know, I don't want people to forget what happened to me, because what happened to me could happen to anybody, a native or from another country. This is serious business. What I was accused of was serious business. And obviously, you know, it took me to jail for 13 years, a big chunk of my life. So I want to have people know and realize what went down. Besides the point whether I was wronged or not, the point is for you to get a story and learn from
it. It's a 15 years. It's a long.
Yes.
It's a long years. We have seen the warm welcome you got at the airport. Do you think you deserve that heroic reception?
Alhamdulillah, you know, I'm grateful to the Kuwaiti people and the GCC people and everybody else. There were a lot of other people that were not Kuwaitis.
Yes.
There were people even were foreigners. I've seen a few Indians and Pakistanis waiting on me in the airport, and I'm very grateful to them. Was I worth it? I hope I was. Do I, deep in my heart, think that they exaggerated? No. Do I deserve that love? Sure. I mean, are you going to tell people don't love me if they want to?
No, of course not.
So I'm very grateful that they showed up. I'm very grateful to their support, and I'm very grateful to their prayers, definitely.
People engaged with your story really deeply and emotionally. So do you think that a part of it, they relate to it, to your story?
Well, in my humble opinion, I think, you know, they became very interested in my story because it does not happen to too many Kuwaitis.
Yes.
It did not happen to too many people from the Gulf area or the Arab world. So when they hear about a guy from Kuwait, born and raised in Kuwait, and all of a sudden he's in the midst of one of the most violent prisons in the States, they're like, wow, that's a mind-boggling. So when they became interested, thinking that, you know, we've seen this in movies, but
yes,
here we are, we have our own kid.
Yes.
Went through all that, so we really want to know more about it.
Yes, of course. Yasser, when you were studying PhD in the US, why did you decide to open a business?
Well, you know, if you know me since I was little, you would know that, you know, I love business.
Yeah.
You know, I took the academic life because it was an opportunity open for me. I was doing good in school, at college, Kuwait University, and I was encouraged by my professors to go and continue, you know, for higher education, which I did. But business always been in my blood, and when I touched down in Florida, I mean, first I went to Texas. I was too busy, you know, learning the English language.
Yeah.
And once alhamdulillah, once I mastered the English language, I got busy with my master's degree, which was Boston College. Finally, I went to Florida, you know, started my PhD program. I had plenty of time. I don't know about others, but I had plenty of times to juggle another ball or two, you know, in my life. And I ended up, you know, opening up a coffee shop, a Kuwaiti style, Arabian style theme in Florida, and it was very successful.
Yes.
People loved it.
Well, was it easy for a non-American citizen to open a business in America?
Well, that's a great question. And I commend you for this question because a lot of people really want to know whether it's even possible for a guy. Okay, so I went there with the F1 visa.
Yes.
And you know, there are rules and regulations to such, you know, visa. So how did you? Yes, but there are also rules in the States, in the Commerce Department, that you will be allowed to open a business, with one exception, that you do not work inside the business or get paid salary with it. So what I did, I transferred a bunch of money from Kuwait,
yes.
my money, my, you know, inheritance or whatever. And when I went there, I said, okay, how much this is? They said, well, this is gonna cost, but I said, okay, boom. And I consulted lawyers, including immigration lawyers, and they say you could open up a business with one exception, that you don't work there, you don't get paid salary. You make money. You will make money as, you know, profit from the entity. Yeah. And I did not work there. I did not need to work there. I had 50 plus workers.
Yes, mashallah.
Alhamdulillah.
So it was a successful one.
Yes. So legally I was able to open up, and before you know what happened, I was in the middle of switching my visas to an investor visa. And that required only an investment of $500,000 in a rural area outside city limits, or $1 million worth of investment inside of Tallahassee, and they will award you the green card, permanent residence.
Okay.
And 5 years later, you will get your citizenship,
okay,
based on your investment. So I was in the middle of doing all that.
Yeah, mashallah. Okay, in your story, you described and you talked about the detectives, the prosecutor, the jury, the judge, and the lawyer. And you described it that they were against you in one point and another. As if there is a conspiracy against you. Aren't you exaggerating a little bit?
Well, you know, it's my story and I'm sticking to it, okay?
Yeah.
But did they sit down at one office behind closed doors and conspire? Of course not.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen like that. But you could read the writings on the wall. I seen it everywhere I went.
Yes.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning. Chain of custody, when they collect evidence. When they collect evidence from the crime scene, the first thing they're supposed to do is put them in
the boxes,
plastic bag and label them.
Yes.
How come whoever collected them switched the labels? For example, they picked out blood samples from the bathroom.
But they didn't label it.
No, they did, but they labeled it as from the VIP room. So the label from the get-go was tampered with. Why they did it, I don't know. They want to collect more evidence than they can. Well, we searched at the carpet and we didn't find anything, so let's go pick out somewhere else within the same premise, and that's what ended up happening. But at the end of the day, when they did what they did, it came back negative.
Yes.
It did not benefit them anyway. So, was they instructed by the judge to do so? Of course not. Were they instructed by the prosecutor to do so? No. But people take it on their own selves to add more to the story than necessary, or than what their job description allows.
Maybe something wrong with you, with your story, I mean.
Sure,
Do you think?
of course. There's a lot of things I cannot say because of the camera. I never said I was an angel. Far from being an angel.
Yeah,
But I wasn't the devil either.
Yeah, because people tend to judge. When there is a two sides of people. People that they can like really feel for you and support you. People, they will have skeptical doubts about what really happened. So what is your reaction to it?
For the skeptics, no matter what you say, they're not going to believe you anyway. The great American saying goes like this: don't explain. Those who love you don't need it. Those who hate you are not going to believe you anyway.
Yes.
So why you even worry? And the ones who don't believe you, hey man, good luck to you. I'm not begging you for a belief. You're not a member of a jury. You're not a member of a jury. My life and my well-being is not under your mercy,
Yes.
Your Highness.
Yes.
I don't care. I'm telling my story from my side of view.
Yeah.
You have otherwise, so be it.
Exactly.
You think otherwise? Were you there? You were not there. No. Were you in the jury box? Did you look at the evidence? No, you didn't. Were you there at the night in question? You weren't there. You just speculate. And the best you could do is just speculate. If you don't believe, hey man, good luck to you.
Many people in the Middle East, they think that the American justice system is a role model. What do you think about that?
It's a misconception because the Americans themselves don't think so.
Yes.
So you are more monarch than the monarchy. The Americans, including all the way up to the President of the States of America, be it Clinton back in the days, Bush W, Obama, and even Donald Trump today, all of them say one thing: our justice system is broken, needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
So who are you to say otherwise? Okay, so that's your belief system. Your belief system that the American system is the best there is, or a role model? Yes, because you watched a lot of Hollywood movies.
Yeah.
Reality is a different thing. I seen the good side and the ugly side of the United States justice system. And definitely, I don't want you to go through none of that.
Yeah. What is your advice for the students who are going to study in the US?
Again, just about me, myself, I was not an angel, but I was not a devil either. I was a guy, who just liked to hang out, liked to have fun. I didn't do anything crazy as far as, I didn't really commit any crimes.
Yeah.
By definition, even the evidence, so-called evidence say so, by definition.
Yeah.
But I was more than a student in the US. I was a student. I became a businessman. But at the same time, I started living the Hollywood life. I started living life with all its entitlements of action. All of a sudden, I got big cars, big houses, big jacuzzis, and I was not an angel. And things, led one thing led to another. I became vulnerable. I became easy target, and to the point where you would be easily extorted if they decided to.
Exactly.
So the great Arabic saying goes like this: Ya gharib kun adib, O stranger, behave well.
Yes.
Because they are not going to spare you. And I did not go below the threshold of behaving bad, But whoever had it out for me, I became an easy target to them. So my best advice to you is, the hell with all that. You go into school, stay in school. Go to school, come back, do your homework, plus nothing else.
Yeah. You mentioned in your videos on your YouTube channels that the evidence were in your favor. However, some people think that the DNA evidence might say otherwise.
Well, first of all, unfortunately, a lot of people now, all of a sudden, they all became DNA experts. And, if you tell them what DNA, stands for, or what abbreviation, the words, they have no clue. But aside from that, actually, DNA evidence, is in my favor. I'm just going to give you a small example. That DNA evidence says, from the complaining witness, aka victim, from the complaining witness own body was found a mixture of 4 plus more DNAs to unknown people. I'm reading this, I'm just stating the DNA report. A mixture of 4 plus more DNAs of different people. Now, why 4? The DNA people say 4 means we just stopped counting. It's possible that there are more than 4, a mixture of more than 4, but once we did 1, okay, we found another, then we found another sample, then we found another sample. We touched down 4, we just stopped, meaning you guys get the point. It's plenty of DNA. It's a mixture of plenty of DNA that belong to plenty of guys.
Were there an Middle Eastern DNA?
Sure, but guess what? Just back up a second. First of all, what kind of person, if it's true that DNA is collected, if it's true that the DNA collected from her body, what kind of person is that person? She either does not take showers, or there is more to the story. You say, I found DNA, I found 4 more DNAs of 4 more different guys on her body. Oh, really? Is that good for her or bad for her? Why Yasser?
Did they specify who were the DNA's person?
No, that's the whole issue. They say,
Even the Middle Eastern?
no, this is how they classify things. To my understanding, I'm no DNA expert either. But to my understanding, this is how it went down. They say, okay, according to our database includes people from the Middle East, Indian people, Orientals, whites, Latinos, non-Hispanic whites, blacks, Caribbean blacks. So they have a big database against which they test a sample of a newly arrived DNA. Okay? They say, well, the 4 and more, some of them white, some of them this. Also, one of them belongs to a guy of a Middle Eastern type. Sure. Is that me? No, hell no. Why? Because I didn't have first of all, no relationship with the lady. Number 2, it's cafe, shisha, a Middle Eastern shop for Middle Easterners. Everybody goes there, including whites and everything else, but everybody that goes there usually are from Middle Eastern descent. We have Arabs, we have people from Kuwait, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, we have Egyptians, we have Syrians, we have Palestinians, we have people from Morocco. I've even seen a few people from Algeria.
Especially that you told us that it was a very famous thing.
It's a Middle Eastern.
Yeah.
It's a Middle Eastern cafe.
Yeah.
Its regulars are mostly from Middle Eastern descent. I'm not surprised if she probably hung out with some of them. We were not at class was a cafe shisha that opens till 2 in the morning, sometimes 4 in the morning. But to say that DNA belongs to Yasser, that's a different story.
Yasser, did you appeal?
Yes, and almost for 2 years we were waiting for an answer. But let me tell you about the appeal system in the States. Obviously, you know, I didn't get it because I went to prison for 13 years at least. But only 10% of all appeals in the United States go through. 90% gets rejected. This is just a fact. Not my fact, these are the lawyers' facts, the studies' facts. The Department of Justice own studies say so. So, was I hopeful? Of course. Did they make a lot of mistakes? Plenty of mistakes. Did I lose a lot of money over the appeal? Of course. I paid the guy at least $120,000, $140,000 US dollars that. First of all, it was hard for me to find one because in a little town like Tallahassee, lawyers tend to know each other. They meet, they hang out, they were co-workers one day, public defenders, whatever. They were at school together. They meet at the courthouse many times, so they don't want to step on each other's toes if they want to take somebody else's clients. The first lawyer I fired for good reasons because I went to trial and I lost with him. I gave him a little over than $500,000 for God's sake, and he took me off the cliff. Bad choice. So naturally I had to go and find another lawyer. But it was hard to find in Tallahassee. I went lawyer shopping for a while till I found one that was willing to take my case, was willing to step on the other lawyer toes. It was close to the deadline and we filed. We had a lot of issues, a lot of mistakes the judge made, a lot of mistakes the prosecutor knowingly or unknowingly made, and a lot of mistakes my previous lawyer did. So all that combined, we put on one appeal that cost me almost $140,000. But it came back negative because, first of all, only 10% makes it. And why 10% makes it? Because, believe it or not, judges are too busy. Yes, judges, especially at that time it was 2010 or so, at that time, especially in the United States, they were suffering from something called the Great Recession. They had to do a lot of layoffs, a lot of cutbacks. They had to do a lot of lowering budgets. So the public defender office, the judges division or whatever, they had to do a lot of layoffs, a lot of retirements and whatever. So the few judges they had, each judge was overwhelmed with hundreds of cases. Again, I'm not justifying. I'm not saying, well, I had a great case, but they messed it up. No, it's the perfect storm. That my bad luck, when I went there, these guys were so overwhelmed with cases, no wonder they just overlooked and rejected. I wasn't the only unlucky guy. Were hundreds like me rejected without even studying their cases. And I know that because I ended up going to prison and I met people just like me who had such great cases, but they were not fortunate enough to have the judges overwhelmed to be at their desk and studied well.
Do you think that the system did not work for you or with you because it has some kind of racism in it? Especially it was like, technically it was at the same time of 9/11.
Okay, so what happened was, to be precise, okay, I got convicted 2009. I got arrested in 2007. I almost stayed 2 years in jail awaiting trial. But my trial coincides, it did coincide with 9/11 anniversary. A date that was picked by the prosecutor himself, who happened to be an ex-US Marines, fought in Iraq twice. my bad luck. So, you know, one bad luck after another. So this guy here, he picked that date. For our previous dates did not go through. They asked for extensions. Your Honor, your Judge, we're not ready, we're not ready. Till we got to this point, we're ready on this date. My lawyer said, Yasser, it's been a long time. We want to get you out of jail. We're just going to go for it. So it coincided with 9/11 anniversary. We happen to be the 8th anniversary or whatever. But 9/11 anniversary usually is such a big deal in the States, especially at that time, because the memory is still fresh. And people, you know, are fed with, I'm not going to say propaganda, but I'm going to say a lot of documentaries about 9/11, who the Muslims are, what the Quran says, are the Muslims really bad, are they terrorists, who is Bin Laden, who is this, who is that. So people are already, they have preconceived notions about who you are. When you show up carrying a Muslim name, with the ethnicity of the Middle East, with a color such as mine, you have guilty already. They already got issues about you. Not necessarily about the case per se, but as a new person. So I say all that to say this.
Yeah.
Were there racism in the States? Of course. Was, or still is, the American justice system racist? Of course, to the bone. By the witnessing of their own people. Again, from the president all the way to the doormat guy, say so. They all say, man, we have a problem. The racism thing. Okay, he's a guy, you know, by the name of David Eagleman, a very famous neuroscientist, wrote a very famous book in 2012 called Incognito, The Secret Lives of the Brain. He said he did his own study, he and along with his, you know, team. He found, studying the United States, you know, justice system, he found, it's in his book, by the way, documented, the book is well known, of
Very
reputation. Cool. The guy says, we found that if you are black, you most likely will have 2 to 3 more years in your sentence added to you than if you were white. So imagine you go, one guy is black and another guy is white, and both of you go before the judge for the same exact crime. He will get 7 years, you will get 10. Not obviously to your face,
Yeah.
but that's how things go. I heard a conversation between 2 judges on NPR one day while in prison. 2 judges were competing with each other who is going to touch down 1,000 years sentences before the other. They're giving out sentences like it's Christmas time. So this is the system that I know. This is the system that I faced. Not the system that made in Hollywood, all is well, everybody's good, America's the great, everybody equal before the law. It sounds good, but reality was a completely different story. Is the system racist? Did I suffer from it? Of course. Because if they call these guys the N-word, they call us something similar to it.
Do we have in Kuwait racism?
I don't think so. Not racism per se. Do we have nationalism? Sure. Do we have tribalism? Sure. Do we have class, more or less? Those who have, those who don't? Sure. This is the nature of things. But racism per se, as far as ethnicity-wise, based on your ethnicity, I doubt it. I mean, I was raised in Kuwait all my life. I went away for a good 20 years and I came back. Is there something missing that I don't know? Probably. I haven't seen it yet.
Yasser, I've heard your story and people read your books, watched your videos. What did you learn from this? What did you learn from this experience that you had?
That's a tough question because, you know, I did learn a lot. On technicality 11, I learned a lot and I tried to make my time, you know, go very well. I managed to serve my time the best way. I learned patience. I learned not to trust others. I'm a gullible guy. I'm a very, very gullible guy. You know, whatever you tell me, I just go for it. I mean, I'm not dumb. If I found out that, hey, hold on, this guy, you know, cheated me, okay. I'm a quick learner too. But I became, you know, more vigilant. with others. I became more cautious with others. I learned a lot of patience. I invested in myself. You know, I studied the sign language. I studied Spanish. In prison, I learned, you know, how to speak and, you know, comprehend Spanish. I learned how to sign, you know, the American Sign Language. I wrote books. I wrote a lot of books in Arabic and in English, and academically, say, no, just a novel.
Those your achievement during the incarceration?
Yes, on technicality level, yes. But the bigger picture, what did I really learn from all this, as far as summarize all this in one sentence or in one paragraph? Slow down, maybe. Slow down, Yasser. Others inhabit the world, not only you. I'm just, you know, on a bigger level.
Yeah.
That's a deeper level.
We heard that a lot of prisoners converted to Islam. Can you tell us about this?
Sure. Prisoners, in general, black and white, are very receptive to the idea of Islam, to the notion of Islam and to the message of Islam. They are very receptive to it, because if you see Islam and its beginning, its humble beginning, you see that the oppressed, the desperate, and the nobodies embrace Islam before the rich. And it resonated with them. That was 1,400 years ago, and it's still happening today in prisons, especially in US prisons. The oppressed, again, not everybody in prison is a gangster and a killer and a rapist, and some people just were in the wrong time, wrong place. Some people were really good people, they just made bad decisions. Plus, the American system nowadays take you to jail for anything. I know people that were my cellmates, came to prison for 4 or 5 years over driving with suspended license. So they were good people in prison. But the notion of being oppressed, the notion of feeling that you are a nobody in place, giving you this uniform, treating you any kind of way, and when Islam comes in your life, you're like, wow, man, this makes perfect sense to me. And people ended up, you know, embracing this. On my own eyes, my own testimony, people embrace Islam in prison like there is no tomorrow. I'm talking about in my 13 years experience, people embrace Islam. By the way, according to the FBI own list studies, and according to the Los Angeles Police Department, they also, you know, conducted a study in 2016, 2017 about conversions in prisons. They found that something I found, you know, similar, that 80% of those who convert or change religions in prison, they choose Islam. In the world, outside the state, outside prison, 1 out of every 3 Americans change religions.
To Islam?
No, change religion to another. In prison, 80% switch to Islam, yes.
Why do you think it then?
Again, the prisoners, in my opinion, you know, the message of Islam resonates with them, because they feel, you know, outcast. They feel, you know, they are oppressed. They feel oppression, whether they are criminals or not. The system oppresses them a lot. The system mistreats them a lot. Not you, but, you know, people in the shade, they say, yeah, they deserve it. They're criminals anyway. No, they don't. Just putting a man or a woman in prison, that's bad enough. That's their sentence. To mistreat them in prison, that's extracurricular. That's not mandated by the judge's decision. The judge to send you to prison, not to oppress you in prison, not to put down on you in prison, not to mistreat you in prison. These are all extra activities you are going about, not the sentence. The sentence does not include that.
What are the challenges that you faced during your prison?
Many. Can
you give us some examples?
Okay, I'm just going to give you, I'm going to give you a general statement. Then I'll just try to elaborate. Okay, take this. Okay, so your number one worry is to come out of prison in peace and in one piece. In peace, meaning you still, maintain your sanity. In peace means you did not pick up bad habits in prison, which is easily to do so. It's so easy to pick up bad habits in prison. By the way, in prison, there are more drugs than I saw on the streets. There's alcohol in prison, more or less the same like on the streets. In every other bunk in an open bay, there is some kind of bad habit going on. Be it on a sexual level, be it on getting high, doing this and that. Even sex for pay is there in prison with female officers. Yes, I've seen it numerous times. We have something called inmate trust fund. It's like a bank statement comes out every month. The beginning of the month, they give you the bank statement. In it, you see your activities of the month through canteen swap. Okay. So your ID, through your ID, there's a barcode. You could go to the canteen window and swap and buy items. The way to do that, people have to put money in your account. Not cash money, money in your account, and you go. So some female officers, when they hand out on monthly basis, they look, you got more money in your prison account than I got money in my own saving account. And you become intriguing to them. Before you know it, they're proposing to you. Some want to do business with you as far as, it's corrupt. I mean, not all of them. I say a large segment of them. Some want to do business with you. Hey, I bring drugs and you pay me and you just flood the prison with. Or, you want a cell phone? Bring your cell phone, $1,000. Here's the money, Western Union, or transfer the money on Cash App. Some of them, they go to the point where, do you want short time? $600 right now, I take you in the back door. 20 minutes, come on.
So the movies and the series are real?
Well, it's been a long time since I watched a movie, but sure. I mean, this is American prisons, man.
Okay, what are the challenges that you're facing now as an ex-prisoner in Kuwait?
Well, all praise due to Allah, I have not found a single challenge. Not a single one. I mean, doors are open for me, alhamdulillah. People are cheerful to me. People, seem to not only believe me, but, they believe me with passion. Some people say, even if he did it, well, they made him go through a lot. Therefore, we're still going to be behind him. Some people say, okay, people make mistakes. Maybe he made a mistake. He want to admit to it or not, but we feel his pain. They gave him more than what he deserved. Or even if he did it, he's our kid, and we don't want to go through all that. Therefore, so there's a lot of love. There's a lot of support. And alhamdulillah, doors are always open for me. I have yet to see an obstacle in my way. Am I being optimistic when I'm saying that? Probably. Is it what reality? And to me, in my eyes, that's what I see reality is. Doors open, traffic lights are green, and everybody's cheerful to my face.
How do you deal with people's perspective and different reactions to your case?
Well, let's put it this way. Think about it. People, tend to pass opinions day and night over the things that are of worth, of note, and things that is not even worth, mentioning. I used to be a judgmental person. I was raised in Kuwait, and I was raised in the Diwaniya, environment, and we chit chat, we talk, and sometimes to prove our point, we make up stories and we add to it, we spice it up just to have our point cross. The only problem with that is we do that on the expense of the truth and of the people that we are talking, in this case, bad about. For example, to pass an opinion, if you are a good opinion maker, meaning your opinion is based on something that's worth talking about, you have to be well informed. You have to be informed to pass an opinion. You have to really see all the dots, okay, blah, 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 what I read. I'm well read about this. I think I can pass an opinion. But just to take one piece of paper, read it and run with it as if it's the truth or the gospel truth or the Quran truth, oh, that's a different story. Now you're rushing and you lose credibility if somebody shows you otherwise. So in my case, a lot of people take sound bites and run with it. Some people even don't need the sound bites. Well, he just looked guilty. Sure, if it's about the looks right now, I'm glad you're not a judge somewhere. Because if you were a judge somewhere, half of us will look guilty to you and half of us will be rotten and in prison. So my advice is not for that guy or woman, whatever. They are not going to change. That's who they are. Yeah. But for those who listen to them, you be more careful, because now they're taking you as a sitting duck. They tell you anything to believe, and you will believe because you will believe. So if I were you, not to be a punching bag, not to be a sitting duck, I will ask him, hey man, can you verify this, what you say? And verify means not Photoshop, not editing. I've seen some documents online about YASER ALBAHRI that from minute one I know they forged. Why? Because it says on it with a big stamp, unofficial. I'm not saying the information inside is 100% inaccurate. Sure, a lot of things are accurate. I'm not denying a lot of the stuff. But it's the small stuff that they change that will switch the whole story into something bigger than what it was. So in my opinion, for you as a listener, ask the man, hey, where'd you get the information from? Well, it's all over the internet. Okay, but what? Because the internet can say anything. The internet, anybody can Photoshop stuff and put it online. So in my opinion, it's good for you to pass an opinion, but study first, get the facts right first, then pass an opinion. For those who are listening, to those who like to pass opinions, don't be a sitting duck. Don't let them insult your intelligence. Oh, he's going to believe me anyway. I just say this. Because they will take you as a duck.
Yeah. Earlier I noticed you're wearing a red like bracelet tag. So can you tell us about it? Why do you still wear it? Okay,
you want me to tell you about it? Then why I'm still wearing it?
Yes,
okay, so this here, I got this in prison. Not all prisons issue this to you, but certain prisons in Florida issue this, and they color coded.
Can I see it, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
So in prisons, especially in Florida prisons, North Florida, they got this color coded from blue to orange to red. I guess red being the baddest, and red being the baddest, and blue being the misdemeanor guy. And Arabic, junha. So I was given this as a way of identification. Is your picture here, your first and last name, and there's a barcode in case you go to medical. Beep, your whole file comes. It's digital over there. Yeah. About time, Kuwait does the same. But anyway, there's a barcode. Even if you go to the window, canteen window. Boop. Even with feed time, like chow time, when you feed, when they give you food to eat, to make sure that you won't hit the line twice, beep, and you pick up your tray and go. Why I'm keeping it?
Why?
Well, first of all, to me, it looks good. Nah, it doesn't. As a matter of fact, there are a lot of reasons why I keep it, because one of the reasons, of course, it's a souvenir. It's something for me to remember, because sometimes it's easily to forget where you come from. It's easy to forget the things you went through. It's a blessing from Allah that you have the ability to forget, or else you'd be crazy by now. But also every once in a while I look and I remember and I remind myself, Al-Bahri, you've been through a lot. Remember, don't ever put yourself in a situation again to go through it again. And another reason, the last reason, or one of the other reasons why I wear it, it's intriguing and it's a conversation opener. Everybody, hey, what is this? It's a good way, of chit-chatting with people, make them, feel comfortable around you.
Don't you think that it represents you're grateful for, despite that, the horrible thing that happened to you that turned your life upside down, that you are still grateful for what happened because you reached a very mature level or peaceful.
I hear you. I could have, you know, reached a mature level outside prison. I didn't have to go to prison to reach that level, but I hear you. At the end of the day, you know, prison made me the way I am today. I don't know for better or worse, but you know, all praise due to Allah. You know, I try to keep myself sane, keep myself, you know, at peace, keep myself, you know, even though I went through a lot, and you know, it's not something to brag about. You know, it's not at all. This is not Prison Break. This is not Oz. This is not a movie about.
It's a real life.
Orange is the new black. None of this. This is my story. This is my life. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not grateful that these people put me in prison.
No.
But I'm grateful that I was able to have, through my family, through my brothers, Abdullah especially, through my wife.
You're not grateful for being in prison.
Of course not.
You're grateful that you're proud of yourself.
Of course, definitely.
That despite everything that happened, you are strong to maintain your life.
Definitely.
And never stop fighting for it.
Definitely. There was times where, you know, you almost gave up hope and you almost like, man.
Did you experience this time?
Of course. Remember, I was, you know, compared with other places, you know, the States of America prisons, unlike what others think,
No.
it's hell. It's very, 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 very bad place to be at. Forget about human rights, victims' rights, advocates' rights. The Constitution says this. This sounds good on paper, but reality is a completely different story. You have stabbing right and left. You have officers, you know, conspire against you. For little or nothing, people are getting stabbed and killed in prison. People are getting raped in prison. The good, the bad, and the ugly. They are not sparing anybody. Sometimes with the command or by the command or the agreement or the permission or even the instruction of the officers themselves. For little or nothing, people are getting whacked in prison. For me, alhamdulillah, to pass through all that, it's a major satisfaction to myself, especially when I stepped out. I'm like, oh man, whew, I made it. You love it. Alhamdulillah.
Thank God these years are done.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
Thank you, Yasser, for being with us.
You're welcome.
Well, you heard his story. Thank you for watching us, and I hope you enjoyed it. Bye-bye.